Man United lost to Everton 1-0 in their last home game in what is honestly a pretty bad game in the season. I'm no expert by any means and just a little armchair analysis, but I just look at the game like how it is. They're facing Crystal Palace in literally a few hours, and I think there are many things to consider. But like one of the biggest problems to the whole situation was the injured Kunha. With Kunha, the team was allowed for more dynamic tech, hold the ball and drive, which honestly seems to be lacking intensely in the whole game. Man United was playing with small mistakes, which seems to be down to a lack of intensity, maybe a missing team understanding, and literally not planning ahead.
I mean, from here, you can clearly see we have 3 players up front, with Ahmad, Saki, and Bruno Fernandes. And you can see Ahmad tracking the left player, Saki falling back to forward against the middle Everton player, whereas if Bruno Fernandes turning his body towards the third player on the right, which actually gives a huge space in behind for the Everton player to proceed on, in which he did. So you proceed on, and your midfielders from United are all spread apart. The Casemiro, Bremo is all far apart and not close enough to do anything, so they continue to fall backwards with the huge empty space that he have. And as he drives on, you can see that Fernandes is trying to come back, but he's too far behind. In the meantime, the 3 players have tracked back significantly, but the gap between the ball is actually pretty huge. And then you see Euro, which is a little bit puzzling. It's a little bit out of his position. I'm not sure why he's so out to cover the midfield, but you can see he's trying to fall back now. I mean, the Everton player has 2 options. Option 1 top, option 2 the striker. They're both looking to get the ball. There's huge space to push towards the top right side of the pitch. As Casemiro is on the left, he's doing well to cover the pass towards Gunner. The player there just continue to push forward into the space, right in the center of the midfield. The striker can drop behind to pass to collect the ball, which Delight is aware about, and he's also checking the run of Gunner, which can sprint past him down the line if need to, which is worried about. And then as you can see, the player tracks back in the midfield. Casemiro tried to tackle him, which might not be the wisest thing to do, but you can see Fernandes is still way too far up behind to actually do anything. Where Euro is still a bit out of position. I'm not too sure whether he's want to push forward to follow Barry or he's not, but clearly he's falling back. You can see the back line is a little bit out of shape. Euro being a little bit less compact than the others. They have a nice triangle to pass around if they want to. The options for the player to pass, which is why Casemiro trying to tackle him will be ineffective because he just passed to the left down to the striker, which he did. I mean, you look at Shaw at the bottom right. He's quite far from the other defenders, which is likely because he had to track the other guy. Hi, over there. Which I believe is right far behind, which I don't think anyone's tracking, which is why Shaw was covering the area which Doku left as he sprinted up the field. Still, there's a huge space behind both Casemiro and in front of Delight, which I think the players are looking to exploit, which is why the 1-2 works well. Casemiro got beaten, and Bremo has covered the midfield, but it's all too late. The defensive shape is still looking good, where Dogu is now on the same horizontal line as the ball, which the ball has did so much more traveling that he has to cover up the space. There's still this random player to the right. The likely is still there as a concern, which Dogu is unable to cover back or track back fast enough to cover the player. Gunner is now the main threat for Delight, who's afraid that he'll spring past him into the space behind him, and the player with the ball has now the whole space to pass the ball around or dribble or to drive the ball there. As he just laid off back to the player who drives it into that space. And you can see Fernandes and Mbuma is out of the equation. Dogu finally springs back all the way to cover the player on the right, which now can see appears up here. Hi! I can see the 4 defenders are really compact and tight, but it's just 4 against 1 defenders. They're not confident enough to take him on. They're quite an interesting thought. I mean, you can see Luke Shaw is ready to challenge the player if he continues to drive forward. The light is ready to cover Shaw if he fucks up. or to follow around Ghana if he runs behind the space. Same thing with Euro, who's ready to cover the run of Ghana here, or to, in case he need to intercept for the ball to Barry. Well, Mazraoui is there, so able to cover. It's a bit weird because it's 4-on-1. They don't seem confident enough to actually defend against them. But obviously, the smart thing to do is place the ball out wide to the player. Hi. With so much space behind him, and Dogu so far behind, and giving him too much space. Which obviously led to a cross like this, which no one can effectively block.
Man United is doing the attacking. You can see that the light has the ball here, and Euro is right next to him. Mazraoui has pushed up to the central midfield to provide a more attacking position, and Luke Shaw is somehow not here at all. When Luke Shaw is not there, it cuts off any attack from the left-hand side position of the map. It forces the light to do a long pause back to Mbeumo to attack. Mbeumo has realistically two options, which is one to work with Mazraoui or pass it back to Euro. And you look at the attacking position of the players, there are 5 players in the middle of the pitch, which could work with Mazraoui or Mbeumo to run up the pitch when needed, help bolster the attack. Mbeumo and Mazraoui did the 1-2 to beat the respective defenders, which is perfect, well done. However, when you look at the players in the middle of the pitch, you have Fernandes and Casemiro. Positions have not changed at all. In the meantime, Zerki is a little bit into the middle of nowhere. He's not preparing to do an attack, which in this case he could have run closer to the defenders to stretch the plays, or he can run further down to provide option for Mbeumo to pass to so that he can run in. When the ball is went through to Mbeumo after the 1-2, his position is a little bit of a lukewarm position. The defender is aware of him, but it's also not too concerned yet because he's not too forward, right? And he's not fast enough to cover up the space as fast as Mbeumo. In this situation, you can see that Mbeumo has the ball now. He's passed to the defender. Realistically, two options to pass to Zerki and only to Ahmad. And at the same time, he decided instead to push the ball forward, which I think could be a pretty wrong decision to make. He can pass on to Zerki, who can spread the play more further to the left with Doku. In this case, it's still not too late to actually pass the ball to Zerki to spread the play. It doesn't matter in the end because the player actually caught up to him because he slows down. It causes them to tackle and he loses the ball. And another instance of them attacking is when during this corner, you can see the multiple attackers in the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacker within the box. However, when the ball is rebounded, you can clearly see there are 6 players right near the keeper, and yet none of them are in the position in the middle where you can collect the rebounded ball. It causes us to lose momentum and control. In no situation, I believe, would all of them be near the keeper at this point. The ball doesn't work that way, right? There's only a targeted area it goes to, it doesn't go to from the initial position where the ball started crossing in. I feel like someone should just track back a bit. I think Zerki should have more desire and more of an idea of where to attack and the aggressiveness he needs to stretch the defenders, to provide more options for Mbeumo. I think this kind of shows the lack of attacking intensity they have or the hunger to attack, especially when they're off the ball. I think it shows the lack of thinking or a mentality where they're planning for the next course of action and setting up a hit for the goal or for the attack, reaction to when the ball is coming towards them or attacking. This is the moment we lashed up to the goal. I can see Mazraoui does a good job in pressing the attacker for Everton, who has the ball. He prevents him turning to start any attack. Mbeumo is ready to do the press on him forward, preventing him from passing towards number 37 as of now, which means the realistic option is only to pass back to the defenders. However, Mbeumo did a half press, which he'll be passing back to the defender quickly, and he curls his press towards the defender, which allowed the Everton player to just sneak the ball past him, past the midfielder, which have plenty of space to exploit. None of the Man United players are actually close enough to do any pressing or any attacking on him. It's really smart to start to walk backwards in the pitch, which draws Casemiro out to prepare for an interception or to defend. And this allows the floating Dewsbury Hall, the eventual goal scorer, to actually cut a little bit inside to receive the ball. In this situation, Bruno Fernandes should be a little bit smarter and should have noticed the threat and tried to cover in to cut the pass towards Dewsbury Hall, or to simply man mark him closer. Ball passes Dewsbury Hall, and Fernandes is way too fast, way too far to do any defending or interception. And then we look at the back line of the three, you can see that Luke Shaw is slightly higher up in the position, and Euro is in a good position to prevent an immediate attack from Dewsbury Hall. Here where's the confusion come in. Bruno Fernandes tracked the run to Dewsbury Hall and tried to cut in on his right to do a tackle, and Euro on the other hand is ready to proceed to the right side of the pitch in case Dewsbury Hall pushes wide. The light is at the back end, but as you can see, the barrier is in between both the light and Luke Shaw, which puts the light in a position where he has to be concerned about the striker at the back, and supporting Euro if in a situation where the players goes wide. This is where Luke Shaw positioning seems a little bit off, where I'm not too sure whether he's trying to go to the midfield, prevent the ball from scoring, or he's trying to track back. He seems in the middle of nowhere, and the position was a little bit overlapping with Delight, which seems to force Delight even further back a little bit more. I feel like Delight still has to be concerned about defending the back, and he still needs to cover for Euro on the right. And Luke Shaw in this position could look like he should be ready to come into the middle in case Euro misses the ball, or in this case he seems to want to track back and follow Barry. I mean, if you look at the final angle, you can see that look how high up Luke Shaw is, which clearly doesn't track anybody, and he's not following the defender, who makes a good run in to draw both Delight and Luke Shaw sliding in. And as the shot was about to go through, you can see the Delight is slightly deeper than them, and Luke Shaw is slightly ahead. So in this situation, he could have gone forward to try to trap the ball, preventing the player from even cutting in and all, forcing them to go wide. Overall, it just seems that it was a little bit of a confusing play. It seems like there was not the proper, a little bit of confusion. There was a bit of a lazy tracking and lazy press from both Embuemo and Fernandes up front, which causes the whole thing to roll and kickstart the attack. The defending was really bad, and just a little series of mistakes and poor decision making, which really seems to help the snowball to attack. Honestly, there's only 2 attacking players and 5 defenders, and yet somehow they're not able to do a proper defending against the attack. Even with Ruben Amorim tactics aside, I feel like a lot of the players need to level up immensely to work on things like their decision making and their intensity to really have the level to challenge or even a top 10 position. Drop what you think down in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe. Drop any feedback from me if you have. Alright, thank you.